Hey everyone, I am Bradley Schneller. This is, with that being said, the Roux Fitness Members Profile Podcast edition. We're here with Dr. Jamie Kuo.
Hi.
And we're excited to have her. We're going to talk a little bit about her medical experience, how fitness has changed that or influenced that, and a little bit of her background. So, with that being said, let's jump right in.
All right.
Okay. Let's just start with this. What is the most physical exertion you experience as a doctor?
Do you mean the most intense or?
Yeah, what causes the most amount of physical exertion for you as a doctor?
Probably a resuscitation of a patient who's dying.
Can you walk me through that?
Okay, so sometimes people lose a pulse or they stop breathing.
I don't mean to be smiling through this. It's just exciting stuff. I can't wait to hear it. So it might look a little bit morbid that I'm like hee, but
yeah,
I just want to hear it.
That's fine.
All right, let's go.
Okay, so someone will lose their pulse or they'll pass out
Mm-hmm.
or they'll become unresponsive. So they usually get brought in by EMS because it usually happens at the field. It doesn't usually happen in the hospital, although occasionally it does.
Okay.
And I'd say usually, we're talking about intensity, lifting or something. A lot of times these patients are going to be unhealthy.
Right.
So they might weigh a lot. They might be what we call bariatric.
Okay. As most Americans are.
Yeah, but a lot of them are. And there's plenty of thin, unhealthy people too. But
Absolutely.
Okay. So as far as physical exertion, lifting those patients, moving those patients, getting them into positions where we can put... if I need to shock them, I have to put pads on their chest and their back. We've got to roll them. Then I've got to put them in a position to intubate them or put a breathing tube in.
Okay.
So that will kind of take some energy out of you.
Whew, okay.
Yeah.
Anything crazy ever happened with one of those that you can share that wouldn't break any HIPAA laws?
It wouldn't involve a person who was large, but I'd say probably, as far as like an interesting case.
Yeah, something interesting. Give the people what they want. Crazy shit. That's what they came here for.
Okay, so probably I probably have two examples of my most interesting cases, but one happened when I was in residency, and there was a paramedic who was working on their truck between calls. And he was sliding underneath it because a lot of times the paramedics are amazing. They do their own stuff, right? So he went underneath the truck, and the truck fell onto his chest. Yes.
Holy shit.
Yeah. It was stuck on his chest for however long it took for everyone to lift it off because the lift broke. That's what happened. So you have all these men trying to lift it up. It took, I want to say it was like 30 to 45 minutes by the time they got it off of him. But by the time they got to me, the man was purple from the chest up. It was almost like he was bruised from the chest up, including his arms. The sclera or the moist part of your eyes were like everted. Like everything was sticking out, swollen, full of blood.
Oh my God.
I can't remember if we intubated him or put a breathing tube in or if they did. But, in the end, what was amazing was he looked terrible, but he ended up surviving.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. What did you have to do as part of that?
As part of that, you gotta do, it's the ABC. So airway, breathing, circulation, and then you check their disability, which is what deficits they have neurologically.
Mm-hmm.
And then you gotta expose them and look for more evidence of trauma. So was it really just this trauma, or did something happen and did he have some sort of arm trauma? We always say the second fracture or the second injury is the one that you miss because the first one is so distracting, right? That you kind of forget about everything else. So there's an algorithm that we follow. And that's basically what we did for him. And I think that guy ended up, I wasn't on the team that took care of him in the hospital, but that guy just kind of ended up needing supportive therapy while he was in the hospital, which means breathing tube. Is he a paramedic again? I don't know. Okay. I don't know. I often do not get, down the road follow-up with these patients.
So short term, there was a happy ending to this story.
Yeah.
Long term, we don't know.
We don't know yet. We don't know what his...
He probably got paid, though.
Yeah. I hope so for him.
Yeah, I was venturing to say the dude got paid. So, which may not make up for it, but at least it's something.
Yeah. You know, I'd hope that he would want to move on and live a normal lifestyle after that.
Yeah.
And kind of be thankful for the second chance that he's been given at life. You know, but I know that some people like to live on disability too.
Right.
So maybe he got paid and maybe he went back to work too. Hopefully it was the best of two worlds.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, good luck to that guy out there. So, all right, let's get into the fitness part, right?
Okay.
So you've been working out for, I think the last time we spoke, and I said the last time we spoke is because this is the second time we've done this. Believe it or not, I am not a technology whiz. And so we recorded this once before. We actually did it with rosé. Now we're doing it with some chocolate shakes. Jamie, what's in these shakes?
This is a .fit vegan protein shake that I've been doing nutrition counseling with Emily, and she wanted me to add on a protein shake, but I can't do whey. It gives me rosacea.
Whey makes me feel bloated, to be super honest.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
But
And
do you
so,
take it anyways?
No.
Okay. Oh, you don't?
No, I don't.
What do you use?
So I don't take any additional protein supplement right now.
Okay.
I really like to mix the driven vanilla and like peanut butter mocha or something like that, and it tastes like some type of delicious dessert. But I haven't done that in a while just because I feel a little bloated. So I just take double my amino acids, so essential amino acids.
The Keon?
The Keon, yeah. So I've been doing that for a while, although Emily wants me to experiment with increasing my protein take, and I don't want to do it with a whey shake. So, and this is just me personally. Not a lot of people live on whey, and it's just fine. For me personally, I find that I tend to feel not as great or look as great.
See, that's how I feel about lactose. Like I am sensitive to every part of dairy, so I avoid dairy almost completely. I will say I had a butterbeer when we were at Universal Studios.
Emily was telling me about that. I asked her to describe it to me.
It has whey.
So what is a butterbeer?
Okay, a butterbeer is a butterscotch drink. You can have it frozen, just regular carbonated, or hot, depending on the year. It also comes in fudge, and like cakes and everything. They have it in every form. And then they put this topping on top, and that does have whey protein in it. So I actually have rosacea right now. I don't know if you can see it on my face.
I can't. I thought you looked beautiful this morning when you came in for your personal training session. So.
Thank you very much, Bradley. But so it has this butterscotch topping on top. Oh, God, it's so good. It's amazing. Yeah.
So it's not really beer.
No.
Why do they call it butter beer?
It's just was the name of the drink in the Harry Potter series. Okay. It was
that's right. You were in Harry Potter World.
Exactly.
So how would you rate Harry Potter World on a scale of 1 to 10?
10.
10?
10. Yes, it totally lived up to it. If you were a Harry Potter fan at all, gotta go.
So your son, he is how old? 9?
9.
Yeah. Okay, so he's into Harry Potter.
Yes.
Brennan, my son is 6. He is still afraid to watch Harry Potter.
So,
it still freaks him out a little
Emily
bit.
and I actually talked about this yesterday. I think 6 years old is a little young. It really wasn't until this year, and my son was still 8 at the time that we started reading it, that I looked at him and said, I think he's ready. But before this, I did not think that he was ready. And even now, some of the concepts in the book, because they're so well written, they're still a little over his head, and I do find myself having to still explain a few things to him about what's going on. So he might still be a little young for it. And I'll also say, at his school, there's a Harry Potter reading club, and that doesn't start till 5th grade. So we are, I think,
that makes sense.
Yeah.
And the Harry Potter world, that is, it's its own, place in Universal, right?
Yeah, so Universal Studios has a bunch of little themed parts. Mm-hmm. So one part is everything Marvel, another part is Dr. Seuss.
I've been to the Marvel. Yeah.
Right, another part is Bart Simpson, which was really fun. And then Harry Potter had its own section in Universal Studios, and then Islands of Adventure, and then you can ride the train back and forth from each side. Yeah.
Emily is itching to take Brennan to Disney World. He's probably the perfect age for it, but I look at Vivian as still 2, and I'm like, she's not going to remember it. But Emily's like, it's for us to remember, not her. Yeah. So I tend to agree. But if we go, I absolutely need the advanced Star Wars World tickets, which I think are a completely separate ticket that you have to get a reservation for.
There's a Star Wars area?
Yeah, there's a whole Star Wars.
Oh, that's Disney.
I know, Disney. That's what
I'm sorry.
Hey. No, I want to go to Universal
Oh my God, yes,
but,
that was
Star
awesome.
Wars, Disney. You went to that?
Yeah. And they do a parade like with all of the Starship Troopers. Oh my God, it was amazing.
Oof.
Yeah.
So I gotta do that. So I don't know how where we were.
Okay. Fitness.
No,
I was talking about
the
this.
shake.
Yeah.
That's right. Okay. So we were drinking shakes. The last time we were drinking rosé, Jamie sipped her rosé for an entire hour while I chugged 3/4 of the bottle. So I was drunk when we left our last show. So long story short, it was really good. I was managing my storage on my MacBook Pro, and I managed to delete the entire podcast off. And so we had to re-record. But that's okay. We have these better mics. We got a mixing board now, so the sound quality is going to be a lot better.
Mm-hmm.
I have a different hairstyle now.
Yes. I like it.
You like it?
Yeah, I like a nice tight haircut.
Like tight haircut.
Yeah.
So
I like it high and tight.
tight butt, tight gut, tight hair.
Exactly.
That's right.
That's exactly.
Awesome. So anyway, that's why we're redoing this now. So when I reference some things too about what we talked about last, it's the non-existent show that you guys didn't get to see. So, all right. So you were telling me before you really didn't get into fitness until you were in college, right?
Well, kind of. I think being self-driven. I actually grew up working out. My dad was very into fitness, played tennis, and was always at the gym.
And being a Vietnamese family, you had a lot of pressure to not be fat, right?
Oh my God, yes. Yes.
And you told me that a normal person like yourself would be considered fat in Vietnam,
yes.
right?
Mm-hmm.
That's absurd.
Yeah. So my dad put us in youth training at the gym. We were members. I'm from Lafayette, and we were members of Red Laurel's, which is one of the top 10 gyms in the nation.
I also want to say that it is proven Jamie can shake it like she's from Lafayette as well.
I can twerk it?
She can twerk.
We should do a lesson, a special Facebook
feel like
live
it's
session
on
about
Instagram. That the twerking tutorial you gave, it was pretty legit though. So we'll save that for another day.
All right.
But anyway, so you're
we'll
from
do a
Lafayette.
special seminar afterwards.
You went to Reds.
Yeah, we went to Reds, one of the top 10 gyms in the nation. They had a youth training program. So I would do the typical stuff that you probably did growing up, right? Bicep curls, bench, For the
record, I didn't work out when I was growing up.
Okay. Well, what most people did.
PlayStation.
Yeah.
I was into sports, but I mostly...
It was a lot of very...
honey buns and pizza.
Okay. It was a lot of like single, non-compound movements, right? That's what most people were doing not too long ago. And it's probably what most of us did before we started CrossFitting. But we did that, and then I kind of, just dabbled in it growing up. I did cheerleading.
Were you any good?
Cheerleading?
Yeah.
I was okay. I mean, I was a
flyer.
I was a flyer, but I broke my leg my sophomore year, and yeah.
Get out.
Yeah, falling from a
So, like, the dude didn't catch you?
It was girls.
Oh, you're a competitive cheerleader.
No. I was not
You were like an all-star cheerleading team?
No, it was just the junior varsity team. Like, there was a freshman team, JV.
There wasn't a guy catching you?
Mm-mm. The girls threw each other up.
And then the girls caught each other?
Yeah, the girls caught each other.
And she missed you?
Yeah. Well, I don't want to blame her.
Do you think she didn't like you and that's why she dropped you?
No. You know what? At the time, there was one specific girl that I blamed, and I was like, oh, she's bulimic and she's anorexic, which she really was.
Oh,
but honestly, the reality was that, looking back, is that I was really afraid of heights, and I was falling myself. Like, I think because I was terrified.
What do you mean you were falling yourself?
I was just coming out of the pyramid. Like, I would try to go up, and I couldn't execute it because I was too frightened.
So walk me through this, because I am not a competitive cheerleader. I have a niece. Her name is Ansley Burkhalter in Georgia, and she is on like one of the top cheerleading squads in Atlanta. So shout out to them. I think they are, I don't want to say Tiger Elite. I think Tiger Elite is here. I don't know the name of the cheerleading squad. Yeah. But Ansley, you rock as a cheerleader. So what do you have to do to be a successful flyer?
You have to be able to stick it at the top. So almost like...
So they throw you up.
They throw you up,
and
then you have to be able to like lock out your knees and do like either the leg lift or the liberty, or just stand there like that, body locked out. But I was looking back, I would freak out and I would just fall out
every time.
Every time.
So why did they keep you as a flyer?
I don't think that. Well, because I could stick other stuff. Like if I was holding on to somebody, I could hold on to that person. So I could do some of it. So it's like I could do some of it. Why can't I do that? It must be everybody else's fault,
Do you think the other girls looked at you a little side-eye?
No, I don't think that they realized that at the time.
Okay.
Otherwise, they would have replaced me.
Okay.
You know, it honestly took me coming into life and having some self-awareness and going, that's why that happened. You know, I don't think it was just really obvious at the time.
So you go up, you
Yeah.
freak out,
Uh-huh.
you fall.
Yeah, every single time.
Okay, and then one of these times falling, you broke your leg.
Yeah, I just fell the right way.
How did
Yeah.
that feel?
It was pretty bad.
Did you do it in front of people?
Yeah, I did it in front of
Like at a game?
no, it was at cheerleading practice. Yeah.
Oh, so at practice.
Yeah.
It wasn't like at a competition, because that would have been rad.
Yeah. But I broke my leg, and the ankles, going that way was broken. Both of the bones were broken. The ankle was dislocated. And we don't treat these fractures like that anymore, but they're called trimalleolar fractures. And I did need surgery.
Why do we not treat fractures like trimalleolar?
They're so... They're unstable fractures, so usually they do need surgery, but we usually give some time for it to cool off now, like all the swelling and bruising. Mm-hmm. And the orthopedic surgeons will usually wait till like the next day or the day after that to operate now. Yeah. But they're not rushing you to the operating room,
right?
Immediately like they used to, And honestly, it's just safer to have a team, an anesthesia team that knows your history, that can evaluate you.
Yeah, I mean, you're probably fine just chilling with a broken foot somewhere, right? A fractured foot or leg.
As long as you're not moving,
yeah,
it's fine. Yeah, exactly. And I will say, I was in a lot of pain. I took an ambulance to the hospital. Every bump in the road hurt. But what hurt the most was when a nurse gave me a Demerol shot in my leg. That was the first time that I actually screamed that day. Yeah. So they don't do that anymore. But
what do they do now?
Usually you'll get like an IV. And
do they air cast you? Is that how that works?
No, not like an air cast, but we'll just put a supportive cast around it until it's time to go.
That's legit. So
Yeah.
you're recovering from this. You got
Yeah.
a lot of pressure from dad
Yeah.
because Vietnamese people say that you have to be super fit.
Yeah. And
We're
so
not fit.
You don't
skinny.
you have to be skinny. So when I was in college, I weighed a lot less than I do now. And I remember visiting Vietnam for the first time. And I got off the plane, and I swear to you, the very first thing that happened to me was one of my cousins came up to me and put her arms around me and said, "You're very fat." But I was used to hearing that because my parents used to line us up and tell us we needed to lose 5 pounds, 10 pounds, or whatever. So it was just kind of like, okay, whatever. But I literally just looked at her and was like, I'm not.
Is there any residual resentment, or not residual, but leftover resentment toward your parents? Because that's just what it is culturally.
It was just culturally. I mean, any other Vietnamese person you meet will tell you the same exact story.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. Like, you can't change history at that point in time. Like, people probably think differently now.
So then in college, I did work out at the rec center at LSU. But again, it was just, at the time, no real formal education, just kind of dabbling, doing some machines, some sevens or 21s or whatever they were called. And
this is before they had the lazy river.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So, they didn't have the lazy river when I was there as well.
I wish they did.
I wish they had a lazy river.
Yeah. But it was not nearly anything. It was like one weight room for the guys and one teeny tiny hallway room for the girls. That's all that it was. Because I started college in '97, so I'm pretty old. I'm 40 years old. But
you're 40?
Mm-hmm.
Dang, girl.
Turned 40 in January.
Nice. You can't even tell, even with all that propecia going on. What's it called?
Rosacea.
Rosacea.
Yeah.
I'm joking. You can't see the rosacea.
So I kind of just dabbled. And I'd say in med school, also dabbled just a little bit. My studies were always, I was pre-med, and I wasn't very good at managing my time at the time. So it was really just working out once or twice, right after a test, and then just kind of diving right back into my books. And then in residency, I worked out maybe once every 3 months. It was horrible. So as soon as I finished residency, I was like, okay, I'm done. I'm a full-fledged doctor. I'm going to start working out. I got a personal trainer, started really learning how to work out. And I'll say this, at this point, it was after my back surgery. So
can you tell everybody what happened to your back? Because it's pretty legit.
Sure. Okay. So my third year of residency I was a chief resident, which was a big deal in ER because you were elected by your peers and by your attendings. So big deal. I'm kind of in my groove, at the top of my game, really learning everything there is and becoming an expert in my field. And then all of a sudden, not all of a sudden, but one day I went on a boat ride that was a little bit, we went over a big wave and my back started hurting and it locked up. And I kept saying, God, I threw my back out. And it just kept going on for the next month or two. And luckily and unluckily, it was my third year residency, so I had a lot of electives, and I was on an easy elective the next few months.
You have electives in residency?
Mm-hmm. You can do like ultrasound, IVs, stuff like that.
Okay, I was thinking like PE.
Yeah, like what? No. Drum, bowling, no. So
I'm going to take gym.
Exactly.
I'm in residency.
So I made a few mistakes, and every time, it got to the point where my back pain was so severe, and it would radiate around my hips, I would literally cry after a shift, or I would literally cry myself to sleep. I was in so much pain. And then I would prescribe myself some steroids because I was like, I must have a herniated disc. I'm going to prescribe myself some steroids. You can prescribe yourself just kind of regular stuff, but I couldn't nothing crazy. I'm not going to prescribe sleeping medicine or pain medicine or anything like that. So every time I took the prednisone like 4 or 5 times, and every time my back felt better.
Prednisone. That shit makes my dog piss all over the place. I swear to God.
Okay.
Like
have
my
you
dog
ever
needs,
taken it?
No, I've never taken it, but my dog has required prednisone shots before, and like she literally empties her bladder all over our house. So we try to avoid the prednisone whenever we get a chance.
I do the same thing. But anyways, finally one day I developed a foot drop, which is basically you lose a nerve level. And what had happened was I had a spinal tumor. So I had a spinal tumor at L4. It had been growing for so long that it was invading into the disc above and the disc below.
Shit.
And finally, I think during that boat ride, I suffered a pathologic fracture. And we call pathologic fractures because it's a fracture associated with a tumor, usually. It's usually, okay? So because it's not native bone, right? It's not strong, so it just cracks. And that's why I was having so much pain. And my back was basically collapsing, and it was impinging on the nerve.
So you have to have the tumor removed?
Yeah, so I had to have it removed, and that ended up being an 18-hour surgery. Yes.
See, are you just asleep for 18 hours? Yeah.
I mean, you're anesthetized.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah. And I was on my face for at least 12 of those hours. So when I woke up, my face was like this, and I had a fever blister on my forehead when I woke up.
Holy shit. All right, keep going.
Anyway, so, basically I had an L4 fusion. No, I say L4 fusion. It was L3 through L5 fusion because they removed that disc or that vertebrae plus the disc above and below.
Mm-hmm.
So now I'm bony fused. I have a bony fusion, like a graft from L3 to L5. But to hold that in position, because basically I was cut in half, right? Like your spine there's a part of your spine that's just completely missing, right? They had to fuse me mechanically from L2 to S1.
This is some Halloween shit.
They called me Jamie-nator when I was in residency.
That's awesome.
The Jamie-nator, yeah. So, that was a big surgery. We kind of say, back surgery, a big deal. A lot of people have back surgeries, but... You
had a rod inserted into your back.
Yeah.
How long ago was this?
This was 10 years ago.
10 years ago, okay.
Yeah, 2009. Yeah.
So,
fall of 2009.
For the record, you had a child after you had this.
I was actually pregnant.
Oh.
I did not know I was pregnant. My husband and I were actively trying to get pregnant, and when I went in for my pre-op appointment, my pregnancy test was negative. So, 2 months later afterwards, they were doing a pregnancy test on me for a test, and no, actually, that's not what happened. I'm sorry. I actually got diagnosed with pregnancy in an MRI.
Diagnosed with pregnancy. You heard that here.
We kept getting, they kept asking me, I had a few post-op infections and whatever, so they were getting imaging and they would give me these antibiotics that are actually not considered safe for pregnancy. But we were all just saying, hey, she had a negative pre-op pregnancy test. There was no reason for me to be pregnant except for that one reason. And so I was 8 weeks pregnant when I found out I was pregnant. And I did not get a pre-op UPT before the MRI because my last UPT was negative. And
so the surgery didn't affect the pregnancy at all?
Luckily, it did not. It did not, yeah.
I mean, on a scale of 1 to 10, how lucky is that?
So lucky.
I mean, because it should have, right?
Well, it depends on the time of pregnancy. The first 2 weeks of conception are all or nothing. So it's just a bunch of cells, and if any of them are damaged, they'll just die and then get replaced by the cells next to them. It's the stem cells.
Right, gotcha.
We've all heard of stem cells. So it happened to be during that time.
I love how Jamie's like, we've all heard of stem cells.
Have we?
I mean, I have.
I mean, it was kind of a question.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Stem cells can give rise to any cell in the body.
Gotcha.
So. Okay, so I ended up being.
I considered having some stem cells injected into my shoulder.
Really?
Yeah, but the chance of it like healing my slap tear was like 30%, and the cost was
it's like $15,000 or something like that.
It was a lot.
Yeah.
Too much to justify a 30% chance of healing my shoulder.
Yeah.
So, but it works better on like ligaments and tendons in the knees
and stuff.
Right. So anyway, keep going.
Okay, so I was on disability for over a year, and I finished my residency, and as soon as I started being able to really stand upright and get through the day, that's when I hired the personal trainer. I was working at a Gold's Gym. And he just really gave me a good foundation. He was like, to help with the back pain, you've got to have a good foundation. So we worked a lot on core. We worked a lot on my butt.
Did anyone ever tell you like you wouldn't be able to work out again or something like that? Or
yeah.
So no, there were no like overly cautious doctors, even though you're a doctor, telling you to be careful of certain things or
no. I think
because I feel like there's a lot of fear mongering out there, and
mm-hmm.
I mean. Among your colleagues, but I could be wrong.
I'd say for certain problems, yes. And Jonathan and I have talked about that. Like, oh, you have bad knees, so don't squat. Really?
I heard
we can't do that.
I have a family member,
and
her doctor said she could never run again.
Yeah.
Because of a back issue, and I'm like, it's like the most natural thing we can do.
I ran a half marathon in February.
There you go.
Congrats. So yeah, we'll never do it again. But
no, but you did it.
But I did it, yeah. But I'm gonna say it took me 5 years after my surgery before I could run again. It took me that long to come back from it. So, and that's how I feel about it. That's how I feel in the gym too. It's even at this point, and I know that you're very aware of some limitations that I have, but I finally was able to do my lateral jumps over the bar the other day.
So most of the stuff that Jamie experienced at the gym that would be a limitation is a lot of core. I'm just making sure the mic's still on. Hello. Yeah, it is. Good. I'm not editing that out. You can leave that in there.
Right.
I freaked out because the lights weren't going.
Okay.
But most of the limitations you experience in the gym are core related. So there are things where you have to have some type of flexion in your back, like a hollow body rock, a V-up, tuck-up type things,
yes.
right?
Yes.
But other than that, you can handle it pretty good. Jamie did 5 sets of weighted planks for 40 seconds today. With a plate loaded on her back, so that was pretty good.
Thanks.
But other than that, that's really your only limitation.
Mm-hmm.
And then I mean, you deadlift, you squat, you clean, no problems there.
Yeah, correct.
So it's just you physically can't flex your back.
Exactly. Anything where flexion is involved, can't do it for sure. Yeah.
Does it help keep your back flatter? During certain lifts because you can't. You ever consider that?
Probably, yeah.
That's crazy, right?
Yeah.
Interesting.
But I thought that I was told in the past that a lot of our mobility needs to come from the thoracic spine, though. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, that's true.
Okay.
That's true.
Yeah. But I don't feel very flexible in my thoracic spine either. Like when I do like scat push-ups and stuff, like I don't really feel like there's a lot of movement,
Mm-hmm. So you've been going on and off for physical therapy for like 10 years now, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what kind of happened with that? I mean, most recently, Jamie met us through one of our coaches, Dr. Jonathan Burke with Therapeutic NOLA, right?
No, you introduced me to Jonathan.
Oh, well, how about that?
Mm-hmm. I actually learned about y'all from AMA. I was looking, I've been dabbling in different workouts for years, running, circuit classes, those treadmill classes like Hourglass, Orange Theory Fitness, all of those. And one day, and I love it, and I do yoga.
Right.
That's actually, yoga is my main form of physical therapy. But I kind of just missed
yoga or regular yoga?
I like a warmed room.
A warmed room?
Mm-hmm.
Do you prefer a flow or?
I like a flow.
Flow.
Yeah, I like flow, but I also like yin yoga.
What is that?
It's deep fascial stretching. So it's really good for recovery. I'll do that on
Sundays. Is there
Sundays.
music?
Yeah.
Good, because I have to have music.
Yeah, I like music too. Yeah.
Are you into more of like a spiritual type yoga or just like, I'm here to work?
Either. Yeah. So for the most part, I'd say I like flow yogas where I like to work. I like the Baptiste method.
Mm-hmm.
or just vinyasa flow. But sometimes I'll sign up for that, like those spiritual cleansing and like sound bath
Mess with your
yogas
chakras
and stuff.
like
Exactly. Well, I haven't done a chakra one, but I would totally be into it. Like I've done like crystal healing. I love to just dabble with all that and see what
You heard
works
it here,
for me.
guys. Dr. Jamie Quo is into crystal healing.
I don't do it regularly. I've done it twice, but it really didn't do anything for me ultimately. It ended up just being more of a meditative session.
Have you ever given out a prescription for certain crystals?
No.
What about essential oils?
No, but I do own essential oils. I like to put them on my bag. Yeah, I love them.
I use the peppermint when I have a stuffy nose. I also put it on my dryer balls for my laundry. We clean. We clean
especially
with
the lavender,
white vinegar and tea tree oil.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I am not like most allopathic, like MD physicians. I am totally open to acupuncture, reflexology. I mean, anything that is complementary or integrative, I'm totally open-minded to it. Because a lot of doctors feel, and we're taught this in med school, and we should be. We should be skeptical. We should be, especially if we're going to tell our patients to go do this. But from a personal standpoint, I'm willing to try all of it because just because there's no study that proves that acupuncture works or X, Y, or Z works, it doesn't mean that it doesn't work.
And the placebo effect is real, right?
People, yeah.
No? Okay, so no. That's a no.
No. I mean, look, I'm just not taking a hard stance on it because it probably is real for some people.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Okay.
Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. What were we talking about?
I don't know. I lost my train of thought after that. So, on and off physical therapy.
Yeah.
You came to our gym. You met us.
Yeah.
You thought we were crazy, but a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're like, I'm gonna stick this out for a little bit, and then you got strong.
Yes. So no, what happened was I was doing all these different workouts, and I realized just one day I was like, I really miss lifting weight. Like, I think I'm gonna start doing CrossFit. I'm just gonna look into it. I used to be one of those people that the CrossFit people were crazy. It's a cult.
We are crazy. It is a cult.
Yeah. But it's a good cult.
Record.
It is. Yeah. It's those crazy CrossFit people. They like to do parties on Friday night. Well. Parties at the CrossFit gym on Friday night, right?
We do that.
What's wrong with that?
We do them on Saturday mornings at 11 with mimosas.
Exactly. So, and I remember driving by this CrossFit gym in Dallas one day. I was visiting my sister and seeing this CrossFit gym. They were obviously having like a potluck or something. I was like, look at those crazy people. Like, what? But now I'm like, that is a great, healthy way of having fun with your friends, and there's nothing wrong with it.
Absolutely.
It's great. It's better than being out, doing drugs on the street or, whatever stuff people do.
There is potlucks at a CrossFit gym, doing drugs on the street, not a lot in between.
Not a lot in between. So it's one or the other. Yeah. So anyway,
so either do drugs on the street or join a CrossFit gym, but you got to pick one. Roux.fitness.
Yes. Anyways, I happened to injure my back right when I started with y'all, and it wasn't even doing it wasn't doing CrossFit. It was doing yoga actually. And so I was doing my on ramp with you, and you were like, you should go see Jonathan for your back, and I was like, that's true. And then so I've worked with Jonathan twice now. Once was for my back, and then another time was for my shoulder. Another non-CrossFit injury. Actually, CrossFit is the only workout I think probably that I haven't injured myself. Yeah, I know.
Good stuff. So, all right, so you've been doing this for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Now you do small group training with myself.
Yes.
Okay, we got a lovely group of ladies at 8:30 that do that.
Mm-hmm.
It's a whole lot of fun. It's a little customized to what you want.
Mm-hmm.
And then you also started nutrition coaching. Now,
yes,
you were keto before, right?
Yeah.
Did you measure your ketones at all? Did you know you were in ketosis?
Yeah.
Okay. How was that for you?
So I've done every type of diet there is. I've done an elimination diet. I've done Whole30. I've done paleo. I've done paleo FODMAP, keto. Keto, actually, I felt amazing on keto. My energy was good.
Right.
I needed less sleep. While I was on keto, I would lose weight. But in the end, finally, I really think that I lost some muscle mass because my protein was restricted.
Yep.
And then I ended up gaining weight. I ended up gaining like 10 pounds after I came off of it, and I still haven't lost it. My body's just holding on to it.
So I actually did keto as well. This picture of me here was on right after like a 30 to 60 day keto stint. I've never done it totally sustainable because it is difficult to maintain. And I'm not sure how I feel eating that much fat and restricting my carbohydrates and protein that much. But in terms of like an elimination diet, come on, it's there. I just freak out sometimes, and I gotta like make sure that the mic's on because this is our second time.
Okay.
But in terms of sustainability, I'm just more into watching my intake as a whole, making sure my protein is a certain number, eating, unprocessed foods, and what I'm really working on right now is mindful eating, thanks to my lovely wife Emily, who's trying to get me to calm down and not eat my entire dinner in less than 3 minutes.
Yeah. That is what's been wonderful about nutrition coaching with Emily is how much it is about mindfulness, and about just having a healthy approach to the way that you eat your meals and plan your day. I live a very high stress life, not only because of my job, but because my husband's disabled and he's always in the hospital. And I tend to stress eat,
Yeah.
And she's taught me some just amazing things. And some of it is just,
Can you share any of your tips that maybe she has given you to help combat stress eating?
Yes. Number one is, so whenever Ben gets into the hospital, it's very stressful. He's usually critically ill.
And this is like once a month, right?
He's been in the hospital 6 times this year.
Okay.
Last year it was 9 times. So it's almost, it's almost monthly. But, so I'll start craving food. And I'd be like, I ate some paleo chips, or I ate some paleo cookies, or I ate some paleo this, paleo that. Because I really, just for my general health, I really do need to be paleo. The grains and the gluten and the dairy, I just don't agree with me. Okay. But she just said one day, she was like, Jamie, just think about this. Anything with paleo written in front of it is probably an indulgent food.
Or keto, or, gluten-free, or whatever else,
Right, and then she also said, and then on top of that, you don't have to eat the whole bag.
Right.
If you want to eat the paleo indulgent food, have 1 serving, A
few years ago, they came out with, we run these nutrition challenges at the gym, and they've grown a lot over the years, and we've reformulated and changed how they are, and Emily's actually in the process right now of reformulating the challenge to make it longer, because we find that people do really well on the challenge, and then they get off the challenge and they put all the weight back on because they're not creating those habits during the challenge. It's only 6 weeks, right? Which you can take off a lot of weight in 6 weeks, or inches, body fat percentage, whatever, but just the sustainability of that may not be super successful, and people tend to yo-yo, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, back in the day, they came out with the Siete chips.
Yes.
Which were, to our challenge, compliant. The problem is I would buy a bag of Siete chips and I could eat the entire bag from the time I bought it at Whole Foods on my way home. That's not very good.
So good.
They're so good. They're so good. Yeah. But I was like consuming 500 calories, 600 calories in my car with a bag of chips.
Yeah.
And I'm still hungry. But they are good.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's, exactly. So, what I've done with that actually is they've actually started offering snack size Siete chips, snack size almond flour crackers, like the Simple Mills ones.
Right.
Have you had those before?
Yeah, I love those.
Oh, they're so good.
We buy those from Costco.
And I get like the Hippies chickpea, because I said it was paleo, but actually beans don't bother me, so I'm fine with those.
You get the chickpea pasta?
I don't like the consistency of it.
I'm okay with it.
Yeah. And plus, I don't like gluten-free pastas, so I usually just don't eat them anyways.
Right.
Yeah. I never go to a restaurant and get whatever pasta dish.
But you like rice, right?
I do love rice, yeah, because I'm Asian and I'm Cajun.
Boom! You ever had a jambalaya or like a cross between a jambalaya and pho?
No.
Or like a Cajun pho? Does that exist?
No.
They should make that, right?
I don't know.
I'm trying to cross your Cajun and Asian backgrounds together, but I seem to be failing rather largely on this scale.
Maybe some like lemongrass chicken wings. Would that? No, that wouldn't be Cajun.
No, that would be Asian.
Oh man. Well, let's brainstorm.
Okay,
Let's
we'll think
brainstorm
about
next
that. We'll
session.
think about that. So, all right, you've learned a lot. Your nutrition is changing, and you recently have some big news. You've taken the next step in your fitness evolution, and now you are a CrossFit Level 1 certified MD. Congratulations, Dr. Jamie.
Thank you.
So, being that we just talked about you spending 15, 20 years in fitness, okay, how was it going to this Level 1 certification or seminar? And what was that experience like for you?
It was a wonderful experience. And from the beginning to the end, and I'll say, a year ago when I found y'all, I started getting into the CrossFit stuff, and I started listening to podcasts and, CrossFit podcasts, and just doing more research on it. Because, when you first do start doing CrossFit, it's a little bit addictive, right? You just want CrossFit everything. Okay, so I was definitely that person doing it. And I listened to this one podcast by Julie Fouché. And at the end of her podcast, first of all, she interviewed David Castro, which was a great interview.
For those of you who don't know, Julie Fouché, I think she won the CrossFit Games one year.
She got second place.
Second place. Yeah. She is a doctor. Mm-hmm. She actually got
she
second place while she was a medical student. Yes. And background information, Dave Castro programs a lot of the workouts for the CrossFit Games, if you did not know that. So
yeah. So, and then at the end she said, if you want to know more about CrossFit positions, email this person or send this. And I was like, CrossFit position. So it opened up this whole new world that CrossFit has for physicians. So the way that I see it and what I figured out, I guess the conclusion that I came to at the end of my CFNDL1 class, which was in California just a few weeks ago, is Coach Glassman, who is the CEO and the creator of CrossFit. He came and gave us a lecture. And he really just wants us to, let me say this. He is, he does the CrossFit Games, he does CrossFit, so this is his new passion. I think all that is smooth, everything has everything going on, right? But now he wants to do the same thing that you've been trying to do for the past years. I almost feel like y'all were living in parallel.
I'd like to think that I'm ahead of the times.
Maybe you are.
The other affiliate gyms. And it's funny because I tell people internally what the future plans are for Roux, and I have no idea what CrossFit HQ is doing, but like our kind of announcements of what we're going to do as it starts to leak is probably a couple months prior to what CrossFit is announcing they're doing. And it's been pretty on point the entire last couple of years.
I've got to say, I thought about you a lot while I was in California because I was like, oh my gosh, this is what these people are saying is exactly what Bradley has been saying for the past year. Anyway, so what I just found was, he really just wants to get, not as much into the workout part of it, but the nutrition and the fitness of it. And, how many years have you been having your level 1, level 2 certification? Probably 6 to 8 years.
It's like 9 years.
Okay.
And it's actually up for, it's expiring. I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do next.
Oh, yeah, I know about that,
Yeah.
So, anyway, so, they talk about fitness and health, and they have been, I don't think they've changed the manual since you took it 9 years ago.
No, they haven't.
Okay. But now he wants to spread the word. And this is kind of his grassroots attempt at spreading the word on fitness and health in addition to exercise. And so he doesn't really know what he expects to come of CrossFit positions, which is what our group is called. But he just wants to reach out to as many doctors as possible so that we can spread our knowledge to our patients and the people that are around us.
Right.
So what happened for the CrossFit MDL1 class is it's a free class.
I was about to say, I thought it was free.
It's free, yeah. And, you have to fly yourself out there and you have to pay for your hotel, but the class itself is free. It's held at CrossFit headquarters, which is in Scotts Valley.
Is it the ranch?
It's not the ranch. Okay. They used to have it there, but then they changed it to headquarters.
Okay.
It's in Scotts Valley. which is right outside the Bay Area or near Santa Cruz. And there were 4 instructors and 1 flow master. The flow master was a guy named Joe, and then a guy named Austin, who actually comes to CrossFit NOLA and teaches classes. They were amazing. And then we got some superstar instructors in Julie Fouché, who got second place at the CrossFit in Matt Chan. They actually both got second place the same year. I think it was 2012.
Did Matt Chan talk about his compartment syndrome a little bit?
He did, yeah.
It was probably neat for the doctors to hear about that.
Yeah.
His recovery, because it was nasty when I saw it.
Yeah, and I looked at the pictures and.
Can you tell everybody what happened? I kind of forget. Do you know?
I don't remember the details. He slashed. It wasn't a compartment syndrome, was it?
I thought it was.
I thought he slashed his femoral artery.
And then compartment syndrome, but he lost a bunch of like skin and muscle mass, right? And then,
yeah. I don't remember the details. It was just amazing that happened to him. I think he went off on like a bike ride or something on his own. And then they ended up having to luckily there were some doctors nearby whenever he was injured, and some nurses too, and just a bunch of really helpful people.
And he's fully recovered.
Fully recovered.
Which is a little bit crazy, right?
It's amazing. Yeah, especially that kind of an injury, especially that kind of a ischemic leg. Like when you lose blood supply to any kind of muscle or tissue, it dies. So I do feel like that can lead to permanent disability, and it didn't with him.
During the level 1 seminar, as a doctor, we talked about earlier about how you're supposed to remain skeptical, right, until proven otherwise.
Yeah.
How many of you were like, I don't know about this?
I think everyone was.
Or did it change over the course of the weekend? Where at the beginning it was kind of like.
So there was no one that was skeptical about CrossFit. Yeah, we all CrossFit, right?
The stuff teaching.
Right. There was one person who brought up some good points about the manual and the zone diet,
right,
and some of the examples of the food that it brings up.
Which the zone diet is basically paleo, but with macros, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. But they don't. But CrossFit doesn't push paleo. They just want you to,
X amount of servings of vegetables, X amount of
exactly, like they call them blocks.
Yeah.
Blocks. But then in more general terms, they say eat meat, eat vegetables, eat nuts,
some fruits, nuts and seeds.
Right. No sugar.
Right.
And it's really good general advice, and that's actually what I like about CrossFit is it really, even though people think that CrossFit is a cult.
Right.
And has all these crazy things, and we all get rhabdo and all that. CrossFit actually, when you learn the CrossFit level 1 class, it's actually very open-minded and very open to scale.
Well, let's put some disprove some stuff out there, or prove some stuff in terms of if you do CrossFit enough, often enough, and for many amount of years, you're going to get injured. Just like if you were to run or play a sport every week for 6, 7, 8 years in a row, some type of injury can happen when you do something enough and for a long enough period of time. No? Or overtraining, maybe?
I think that's it. See, every person that I've ever met, because I asked a lot of people, I asked all my friends who CrossFitted, especially the ones that were injured when I first started doing CrossFit, is why did you get injured? And 100% of the time they said it was ego.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean? So it was, and not even just like I'm such a, I'm so amazing, I'm going to do this, but also just like not recovering and thinking that you can, pushing yourself too hard. But you can injure yourself doing anything.
Well, that's what I meant. I meant that every exercise methodology has X amount of injuries in it, and if you look at the statistics, CrossFit actually has the least, and that could be because of its, time on Earth, or since its inception. And it could be the amount of people that actually do it as compared to, let's say, marathon runners.
Mm-hmm.
But I do know that the statistics for runners, their injury rate is actually higher than that of a CrossFitter.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I also think that we probably, I don't know if you feel like a lot of our members get a lot of injuries, but I think that the coaches are very good about scaling and modifying. Yeah. And kind of keeping people on task and not letting people get ahead of themselves. And y'all remind us every week with these Facebook Lives and
I try to say that I don't want to come out here and say no one's ever going to get hurt. Injuries happen, but injuries happen playing softball, and flag football. And, I had one of my good friends who was super athletic, very well trained, and he tore his Achilles on a punt in a flag football game.
My shoulder started hurting when I was running my half marathon. I injured my hip spinning. I injured my back doing yoga. I have yet to injure myself doing CrossFit yet.
My back kind of hurt gardening yesterday.
That's a hard sport.
Well, I was trying to do a lot of stuff in a small amount of period of time. I knew it was going to rain today. I knew it was going to rain yesterday afternoon. I got some family coming in this weekend. We got Brendan's birthday party this weekend. So I was trying to hustle and plant 75 plants and mulch my garden in a 3-hour time span. So I was up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. I was tired.
Yeah. And then what happened to your back?
It was just tight.
Oh, I wouldn't say that's an injury.
No, it's not an injury. It's just tight.
Yeah.
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 Normal shit. So you come out of this L1 med cert, and now you want to change the world.
I really, because we've been talking about this for a year,
right.
I do want to make change, because it's, I know that the way that fitness and health have changed me and diet
right.
have changed me, and I love helping people, which is why I became a doctor. And I love helping other people make change and kind of helping them make that discovery and seeing how good that they can feel. Because I promise you, right after my back surgery, when I still used to eat burgers twice a week and, whatever bad, not that, I still eat burgers sometimes. I ate some burgers at Universal Studios.
But without cheese.
Yeah, with no cheese and with a gluten and dairy-free bun. But anyways, modified for my diet. But, I still like a hamburger between two pieces of meat. Just between two pieces of bread. Just like everybody else, right?
Between two pieces
of
meat.
Hamburger. So a triple burger. I love triple burgers.
I've had a triple burger one time. All right, so I had jury duty. This is a quick story. I had jury duty and during Mardi Gras. And we got off early. I don't know, 1 o'clock or something like that. And I was starving. So I called up Company Burger. And I'm like, I'm going to treat myself. So I ordered a triple Company Burger, 3 patties.
How was that?
And I got the fries. I hated myself after that.
Yeah.
But it was good while I was eating it.
Excess. Mindful eating.
Yeah, it was not mindful. I did not. One thing that I'm still trying to get better at is thinking about what the future is going to feel like.
Yeah.
And I don't mean an hour. I mean 30 minutes after. I'll be like, oh, this is so good. 30 minutes later, why did you let me eat that? I say that all the time.
Yeah.
So I'm getting better at that, though.
I am almost, I'm definitely not perfect, but I'm much better this year than I was last year, than I was the year before. I would go on these vacations and I would eat and then, see this next place and go, I'm going to get that too, even though I'm full. And I would just gorge myself and I would gain 5 pounds on one vacation. I just can't do this to myself. The pain is just not worth it anymore. So about changing the world. Yeah, I have all these ideas that I want to do. I just don't know how I want to put them into action. You and I have talked about doing stuff together. The one thing I have, we will. We just need to.
It's around the corner.
But Jonathan and I, the most immediate thing that I've done is Jonathan Burke and I, who is, everybody should know Jonathan. He's one of the coaches here and he's also a physical therapist. But he and I are going to design a squat and deadlift clinic. And we talked about who we wanted to present it to. And I was like, I want to do it to doctors. And he was like, I think they're a little, I think that's not quite doable. He was like, let's do residents. I said, no, let's do even better. We'll do the medical students. And the reason why is because the medical students are not skeptical yet. They're not, they still have such a thirst for all the knowledge in the world. And they're so open-minded. And not saying that doctors are closed-minded, but, they still are just so hungry for that and so excited about it. So I just got in touch with, their mindfulness in medicine president, the leader of that group. Yeah, and so we're going to put that together, and we're still in the design phase. So we're going to try to do that.
I want to ask you this. You said earlier, you've gained 10 pounds during or since the back surgery, right?
No, since keto.
Since keto.
Yeah.
And you're still trying to take off those 10 pounds. So I think we've discovered along the way that there are some factors that you just can't change in your life that are making it a little bit difficult to take that last 10 pounds.
Yes.
We're looking at a long-term picture of that for you. However, what would you determine is success for you in the gym and nutritionally right now?
Getting stronger.
Mhm.
And finding more endurance. Yeah. I say I want to lose the weight, and, I've been doing the nutrition coaching with Emily for a few months now, and that is one of the goals, but it's not the number one goal.
Right.
I do want to, I want to.
Everybody wants to look super high. Let's throw it out there.
I mean,
Everybody
well,
wants to
that's
look
to
high.
me, I always say that's number 3 on my list. Number
Right.
1 is keeping my body healthy.
Right.
Success for me is keeping, because with the back and being on disability for over a year, I have just found over the years that if I take too much time off, or if my core is too weak, or my
Right.
body's too weak, or I'm not eating healthy, I have a lot of pain. So that's the number 1 thing for me, is keeping my back out of pain. And then the number 2 thing is just general health. Being generally fit.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. That's awesome. So, well, thank you for doing this. I appreciate it. I hope you have a great weekend.
Thank you.
So,
Bye, everybody.
we'll be seeing Jamie around a lot more. Thanks.